Good morning. Good morning. This is John Dingfelder. You're listening to Down and Dirty on WMNF in Tampa. And, of course, I have my beautiful, lovely, brilliant co-host, Lynn Marvin Dingfelder. Good morning.
Oh, me?
You talking to me?
You're talking to
Thank
me.
you.
Victor DeMaio, how are you this morning?
Hey,
Yes. Remember, I'm the second co-host of the show.
In West Tampa, you'd be the second banana?
Second banana, yes.
You're not brilliant nor lovely.
Brilliant or banana.
Oh, that's not true.
And that mystery voice you're hearing is Bob Enriquez. Bob Enriquez, Hillsborough County property appraiser. Good morning.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here, John. I know there's nothing going on with property taxes, so I'm not sure why you invited me.
Yeah, I know.
it was
It's a
boring.
slow week.
Yeah, slow week.
Yeah.
We did invite Bob Enriquez to join us to talk about the implications and ramifications of the property tax
And
initiative.
That's very down and dirty,
Yes.
It's definitely down and dirty.
for
Crazy.
sure.
And on top of that, we will also be doing our fun drive, our summer fun drive, 2026 summer fun drive. Bob has been nice enough to join us, and we will weave back and forth between the fun drive and talking about this tax initiative that's going to be on the ballot in November. Lynn.
Because the reality is this station can't exist without you, the listeners. We can come in and try to entertain you and inform you and tell you what's going on in the community and hopefully get down and dirty on this show. But the reality is without your help, the lights go off, the doors close, and you don't have community radio anymore. And that means the music and the information. So we are going to ask you to help out for this summer drive. And you know what, Johnny? We have some special gifts.
Special gifts.
Yay.
Ding, ding.
Very special gifts. I mean, the station has some wonderful, wonderful gifts for
Beautiful
donors.
T-shirts this
I
time.
love the new T-shirt.
That's a $100 donation. Beautiful T-shirt by Robin Milkowitz.
Goodbye.
It's blue. And what does it say?
I love it.
Different on purpose.
Here.
And you said that's me?
Yeah, it's definitely
different
on purpose.
We also, for this show, are offering an autographed book from Paul Wilborn, who was here 2 weeks ago, I believe. And that the Charlie Wall book, which it's a great read.
It is a great book.
We really enjoyed
We're about
that.
2/3 of the way through it.
And Paul is a big WMNF supporter and was kind enough to gift us a book to gift you. And then we also have 3 very special things that we'll talk about during the show, which is unique and one-of-a-kind pottery made by my favorite potter.
Your favorite pothead potter?
Potter. Oh, Jesus.
John. No, it's beautiful pottery that you've made, and for a certain amount, we will be glad to let you have it in your home because they're beautiful pieces.
Well, listen, the donations have already started rolling in. We have Roger Harvey from Clearwater. He donated to Democracy Now! We appreciate that. Sean and Tom, good job last hour. $50 from Roger Harvey. Thank you. And our first Down and Dirty donation came in before
Oops. That's me,
we
sorry.
even started. For $100 from Jennifer Campbell and Palmetto.
Oh, how nice.
Thank you, Jennifer. Palmetto, a lovely little town down there on the Braden River.
And if you want to help the show and help the station, the number to call is 813-238-8001. That's 813-238-8001 to pledge and help WMNF. You can also go online, if that's easier for you, at WMNF.org. And please consider listening Down and Dirty as the show that you're pledging for.
So, Vic, why don't you give a little intro on what's going on? Somebody's been in a cave or what have you, and they weren't aware of what's going on with property tax.
And it's all very confusing.
It's
So I'm
a
so
big
glad
mess.
you're here.
in the state legislature and the governor and yada, yada, yada.
Well, we're very fortunate having a walking encyclopedia here today on that issue. In my very dear friend Bob Enriquez. Before I go to that, I want to do 2 things. Number one, I'm going to personally pledge $100 to the show today
nice.
to start the ball rolling.
Thank you.
And I want to mention my friend Luis Salazar is here today.
Good
He's
morning,
running.
Luis.
He's
Sorry.
running the live camera on this. We're streaming
Where
the show
can
live.
they see us?
They can see us
in
on
living color.
on my Facebook page, Victor DeMaio, and we're streaming live, so we can watch you and all of us here on the show, and
So
people can.
So folks can actually, let's see, they can watch it live on the stream and donate at the same time.
And they can donate.
And then they can hear their name live and donated and all that.
exactly. So this is all a nice little twist for the. We want to make Down and Dirty a special show today. So
Thank you.
So this is super cool.
Thank you, Luis.
But thank you, Luis. You're
So
the
what
best.
happened in Tallahassee? What's the governor
It
up
was
to?
crazy.
Is it good? Is it bad?
I think it's horrible. I think this is the key to this thing passing is 60%. Remember,
what is it? What is it?
that's what Bob's here, and I'm really going to defer to him because he's super busy this time of year, and with this issue coming up, I really want to defer to Coach. Who actually the other night, a couple nights ago, he introduced a former NFL player that he coached in high school.
Wow.
Daryl Jackson.
Daryl Jackson, who played at Tampa Catholic, and your alma mater, University of Florida. He was a standout receiver and got drafted by the Seattle Seahawks.
Played for a couple of years?
Yes.
9 years.
And won a couple Super Bowls, at least one, I know.
Well, he played in one. They lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
So the former TC and former Gator set a record at that time. He scored 5 touchdowns, I think. I read on his thing on the Super Bowl receiving touchdowns. He was quite a catcher.
Very, very cool.
So it was it 5 or what was the number? It was pretty.
I
It
don't
was
know.
pretty
He was
crazy.
an amazing player.
So Bob, let me go back up on you a little bit. I think always very impressed with you, Princeton grad.
Yes.
Yes.
I assume graduated high school down here, probably
Tampa
Tampa
Catholic, yeah.
Went on to Princeton, Ivy League, and what'd you study up there? Econ or something?
Political science.
Political science. Came back to Tampa. First I met you were in the planning commission.
I worked in planning for a number of years, and then and all my free time coached football, and had the opportunity to run for the state house in 1997. Was elected and served from 1998 to 2006. I was honored to do that, and
that was a different political world back then.
It was, and
they probably actually paid attention to Democrats.
Well, it's interesting. I actually had the opportunity to do Florida This Week yesterday, so people will be able to see that.
That's WEDU.
WEDU, and I shared my time with former Senator. Who I happen to serve with in the House, Mike Fasano, who's the tax collector up in Pasco. And we talked about it beforehand, that something like this would never have happened at that time. Not that there wasn't talk of property tax reform, tax cuts, there's always been that, but just the nature of the way that the legislative process worked then. The Senate in particular was much more contemplative and took their time on major issues. You just couldn't do something. There's a certain axioms in life, John, as you know, and Lynn, and one is that the term special session, they're never special nor a session. And so to put something of this nature on the ballot this quickly, begs the question of what are the unintended consequences, and so to kind of segue back to the fact that you're doing a fund drive, there'll probably be fund drives for our local taxing authorities
So tragic.
to try to figure out how to make ends meet after all this. So
we're going to hear Jane Castor on the air, begging for money.
and so it's going to be a political football, if I can use that term, going forward. So we're going to hear about that. But literally, so the genesis of this, right, wrong, or indifferent, the governor originally put out this idea that we're going to do away with property taxes altogether. That was his initial idea. Again, I was always taught by my father, who was a hardworking painter. Something sounds too good to be true is probably too good to be true, and so that's about $60 billion of overall revenue for the state of Florida if you were to cut property taxes for all market sectors. So ultimately, that was too big a bite at the apple. So it morphed itself towards really dealing with giving some tax relief to homesteaded property owners. I would suggest to you that largely has to do with that most voters are homesteaded property owners. If you have to get to 60%, that's probably
November.
That's probably
right?
the group. And listen, the argument's not that property owners of all types and all of our residents aren't being squeezed and need some kind of relief. We understand that. Every time we go to the grocery store, fill up our tank, we feel it. And so that's the buzzword in politics. The buzzword for every one of us at our kitchen table at the end of the month is we're being squeezed. We need some relief. Frankly, the legislature needed at that point to come home with something that they could run on, saying that we did something to try to give people relief. So that's not really the issue. The issue is how does that relief happen? What is that relief? And there's other things. There's other ways that they probably could have done that, and they kind of took the focus off of things like property insurance and other things as well. Ultimately, this bill, this constitutional amendment, as Vic spoke to, would have to pass by 60%. What it does is, over the course of 2 years, is raises the homestead exemption from $150,000 to $250,000. And so in real terms for Hillsborough County, and remember that when we start talking about property tax revenue, it's not just the cities and the county. There's a number of special districts like the Port Authority, Transit Authority, Children's Board. They all, the Water Management District.
So what happens to them, and how do you decide who's cut? Who makes those decisions?
Well, it would be across the board, because they all, they would all feel the brunt of this. In terms of loss of revenue overall, based on the 2025 tax roll, which we're now just putting the finishing touches on 26, it's in the neighborhood of $477 million of lost revenue.
Just in Hillsborough County?
Just in Hillsborough County, to all the taxing authorities. And so, and we can listen. We can have the argument of whether or not property taxes or property values have increased a great deal over the last few years, particularly during and post-pandemic. And as a result of that, the revenue that's coming into the cities and counties and taxing authorities is much higher. So if the spending is the issue, then that's really the thing that we could focus on. The reality, if you can kind of personalize this to our own individual lives, is if you were to say, to anyone or any family at the end of the month, all of a sudden we're going to take 40% of your revenue away, and then just tell you, well, you're just going to have to make it work. Well, we know that the credit card companies don't listen.
Right. The bills don't stop.
Right. The bills don't stop. In the same way with government. So,
Bob, that figure went by really quickly. Can you repeat that figure?
Well, the estimate that we have based on $250,000 homestead exemption versus the up to $50,000, which is what we have now.
Right.
Would be about $477 million of lost revenue.
477 million, folks.
Yes.
Wow.
And so it's a big number, and again, it's coming all at once.
So I think my first question, if it's okay with you, is it seems to me that now the onus is on the counties, on you, to educate and market and explain to people what it means, because the reality is everyone's going to say, great, this is good for me.
Christmas come early.
Yeah, who wants to pay more?
And that's going to be a trick, Lynn.
Yeah,
because
and how do you do that? Where does that come from?
As a result of the Hope Florida, as you guys know, controversy that happened in the last election, there's been legislation passed at the legislative level now that does not allow us or any other agency, in theory, to spend public funds to advocate or to and the question is even really educate the voters on a referendum.
So your marketing department or whatever, you can't.
Well, and we're trying to figure out if that means that we can. Obviously, if there's a public records request or somebody requests information from our office, then we can give that to them. But whether or not we can proactively put information out is a question, and we're trying to get that answer.
Really sneaky.
Coincidental to that, the governor, before this was even passed, already had a website that clearly advocates the position of being for this, and a calculator. We had a calculator previous to this passing.
And explain what that does.
And that would allow the individual taxpayer to go in, put in their information if they're a homesteaded piece of property, and they would be able to then see what their tax savings would be as a result of this. And then they can make an informed decision on whether or not, on the typical $400,000, which is the median home price, you're going to save, now that schools have been exempted back out, somewhere in the neighborhood of $2,000, more or less, depending on how long you've been in the property, how long you've been capped. Obviously, larger properties that have been purchased more recently will get a much bigger benefit. And so my thought is, at least whether you're advocating, and in my role, it's not my position to advocate one way or the other, it's to educate. Sure. But I think that obviously we want folks to go to the ballot box and know and make that decision between their own personal interest or their family's interest based on what they might save versus the long term, what it means to services, what it means to the community at
I'd
large.
argue that it's all personal. I mean,
Yeah.
what people aren't realizing is that these are their services. It might not be the immediate
Right.
tax on their house, but it might be parks, or it might
Well, exactly.
be
And
another
that's
service that they
and
don't
that-
realize they're paying for.
That's part of this as well. It's interesting because part of this bill, they expanded generally you have to do a constitutional amendment, what comes on the ballot, in 70 words or less, and it has to be clear and unambiguous. Understanding that this thing is not very clear on it, and that they kind of want it to be ambiguous.
Right.
They've actually, for the legislature, kind of waived that as part of this as well, so they can be more than that. So it's going to be even more confusing for voters to kind of understand everything that's in there.
So we need to do it now.
But yeah, and that's what we're doing here. They also designated that the funds, that the property taxes should be initially spent on core services, and they kind of loosely define what core services are. I mean, obviously we understand that public safety and things like that are core services. Things like parks, libraries, things like that, they're all quality of life kind of services.
They weren't on the list.
They're not on the list.
Not on
And
the
so,
list. I was
but the
looking
reality
here.
of it is, this doesn't guarantee funding for core services. It just says that they have to get the lion's share of it. There are a lot of
Is it the
communities
first
out
bite
there.
at the
There are a lot
apple?
of communities out there, bedroom communities, that have a larger percentage of homesteaded property. Like say, something like Hillsborough County, a place like Hillsborough County, that we have a diverse tax roll. A good percentage of the property tax that's collected comes from commercial, industrial, other uses. That's not to say that this hit will not put them in a very difficult position. There's some bedroom communities out there. You could take the Villages, for instance, that I've heard estatements over 90% of homesteaded property.
Well,
And they-
even closer in, Bob. Look at
or
like
Temple
Zephyr
Ter-
Hill,
or
Zephyr
Temple-
Hills,
right,
Temple,
Temple Terrace,
Temple Terrace,
those kinds of communities.
Plant City.
The money that they would take in after this may not be enough to cover fire and police.
Holy
And
cow.
so there's a lot to think about here, and ultimately there's no provision in here of where the additional money could come from. In
was
fact, there's
gonna ask
ways
you.
that it actually is very prescriptive in kind of limiting the ways that communities can then raise more
up the-
money,
make up the difference.
and there's no real, they really haven't talked about. Sales tax. At one point, there was a discussion in the governor's rhetoric about actually creating a trust fund at the state, which this could be a mess of having. If you can imagine Hillsborough County having to go up and beg for a park, right, in South Tampa or some of them. Well, they might get it before somebody else would, but those kinds of things that didn't happen. They took that out. So there's really.
Speaking of numbers, let me throw
Wait
a
a second,
number.
my head's about to explode.
Let me-
Oh, yeah.
No, I got more numbers, honey. More numbers.
And just so you know, I mean, I'm speaking so much because I've been living this for
Oh, no, no.
over a year.
Yeah, we
so
want you to
yeah.
talk
No,
about
Vic,
this.
Vic, we appreciate you bringing Bob. So the city of Tampa, I Googled this up because I haven't been there for a
The
few
Google.
years. The Google. So the city of Tampa collects an estimated $114 million from homesteaded property tax. Bob, you've got a printout here. I don't know if it's yours or somebody else's.
It's mine.
That says that the city of Tampa would lose $55 million. So basically half of all of the homesteaded property tax that comes in. Now, I will put a caveat on that because the city of Tampa is lucky in this regard that we do have a lot of industrial and commercial properties. We have non-homesteaded properties, apartments, etc. That would not be directly affected by this. So in that regard, the city of Tampa might not hit percentage-wise as much as other communities, but all those other little communities, the beach communities that has very little commercial and a lot of homesteaded properties, virtually any little community out there in our listening audience is going to be hit really, really hard by this.
Yeah, and I would also say that percentage-wise, certain communities are going to be hit more than others. I once.
Why is that?
Well,
Why?
just because again,
Size?
there's more. Some communities have more homesteaded property than other. They don't have as diverse a tax roll as we have. But understand that regardless, whether it be 30% or 60%. It's a big number, and how do you make that up? And remember, some of this money is already kind of spoken for through bonds and other things as well. And so, those kinds of things that are dependent on a static, or what is a pretty dependable revenue source every year.
Wow.
Like it or not.
Could hit bond ratings.
It could, absolutely.
Oh, my God,
And
yeah.
so,
And then you're going to be paying more.
and keep in mind, this isn't a one-year
interest.
thing. So if it, and John, you've been in local government, so you understand this on the city council. You kind of project, budgets going forward, and so this isn't just a loss of $500 million over the next 2 years. It compounds itself every year. So, in theoretically, 10 years from now, you've lost an awful lot more of what you kind of depended on.
And we'll need more then as well.
Well, again.
Let me just say that this is a WMNF Pledge Fund Drive. We're going to ask for your help. If you like what you're hearing on Down and Dirty, if you like what you listen to on WMNF, we need your help. The number to call to pledge is 813-238-8001. That's 813-238-8001. Whatever you can do, $10, $25, $50. In fact, for $50, we have some lovely gifts for you that are very special to Down and Dirty. We've got an autographed book from Paul Wilborn, his latest book. We've got some original pieces of beautiful pottery that your host, John Dingfelder, has made, a beautiful 7-inch denim blue bowl, which is lovely. We've got another vase, a beautiful vase, and an 8-inch brown bowl that might be really cute for small salads, or if you have a pet, a nice water bowl. Anyhow, if you want these very special items, we'd love to gift them to you for just a contribution of $50. Just tell the person you're talking to on the phone which of these you might want. The number again is 813-238-8001. 813-238-8001. Help us stay Down and Dirty on the show, and we really appreciate whatever support you can give us.
So we did get our first contribution, or our second contribution of the morning, from all of our good friend Julie Jenkins.
Oh, Julie, thank you.
Julie Jenkins is
Thanks, Julie.
Political neighborhood community leader in South Tampa.
She's
Thank you
amazing.
so much, Julie. And Julie's comments are, "We love Down and Dirty, and go Bob, go."
Which Bob?
I think she means Bob Enriquez, who is our guest here this morning. City Hillsborough County property.
He's trying to explain what this whole property tax thing might mean to us. And while it sounds like, what is that, like a Trojan horse?
Yes.
It sounds like it's going to be beautiful and that it's a gift from the state. The reality is it's going to hurt us all locally, or impact us, I should say. I shouldn't judge. It will impact us. And he's here to try and unravel the whys. And I think you're going to be doing that for the next couple months, right?
I believe so. And it really raises more questions than it answers, the way this is structured. Another thing that's part of this is, I think, in a way to try to make this, spread out over a larger part of the market, the real estate market, was to lower the 10% cap on non-homesteaded property. There's a cap on non-homesteaded property.
Isn't that just stealing from one and giving to the
other?
other?
Well, what it did is there's a 10% cap, so that the assessed value on, if you have non-homesteaded property, can only go up 10% in any given year. This would lower this would lower this to 5%. Now, in the governor's press conference, and his rhetoric was, well, that's to help small business. But if the reality of it is that it's not limited to small business, and in fact, there was an amendment that was offered in the Senate to actually put language in that would say and define what small business is. It's actually for all non-homesteaded property. So that's everything other than the homesteaded property that would get the additional $250,000 exemption. And so that means, and at the same time, it's kind of interesting because as we've talked of saying, well, we should shift the tax burden to these people that have the $10 million, beach home, second home, or whatever. Mm-hmm. But the reality is they're getting an awfully big break because they're non-homesteaded property.
Yeah, because whatever they are appraised at right now, they're locked in, except for maybe a 5% bump maximum.
Right, and so that's another $83 million on top of what we've talked about for Hillsborough County, all the taxing authorities.
Wow.
That really is savings.
In addition to the $477 million?
That includes and not big businesses, whether you're Tico or whatever, they're going to get an awfully big break out out of this.
So-
versus it's not targeted towards your local coffee shop. It's for So that's kind of, you talk about Trojan horse. That's another aspect of this. And I'm not saying that that's not. We should have more broad-based tax reform. It's a legitimate discussion
seems like
to
it's
have.
coming all at once. And is it meant to confuse, or is it meant to? I mean, I know everything's political.
yeah.
I get that, but I guess the question. I have so many questions. Who defines what a core service is? Where does that come from? Is that from the state?
There's language in this constitutional amendment and in the enabling legislation that was passed commensurate to it that defines core services. Thankfully, for me personally, they added constitutional officers in there because we weren't sure where our funding was going to come from after this. But it's sort of loosely defined. It really, the things that you might think about, the everyday things, obviously public safety being number one.
Yeah,
So
sure.
your sheriffs, your police, your fire.
Aren't the unions crazy upset about this?
Well,
or
because
what?
they think there may still be a shortfall. Again, this doesn't mean that you're going to fully fund those services. It just means that they're going to get the first bite at the apple. Well, if there's not enough apple there, then they're going to have to find other ways. Now, police can't do this, but fire could actually have could increase fire fees. And so here's you have this concept of, which has happened in history. I actually one time when I visited Charleston, if you remember, there were different fire departments in Charleston going way back, and there actually we're talking a long time ago, but there are situations where a house would burn down because they hadn't paid their fire fee, or they had a different fire department that they paid into. So you can imagine, it's like, if they turn your electric off, it's to say, your house is on fire. Well, you haven't paid your $800 fee this year, so we can't put the fire out. I mean, it's an extreme example, but it really is the kinds of unintended consequences of this. So,
I've got the list of core services. Let me run through it.
John, why don't we give that number again for people to pledge?
We do need you to call, even though we're fascinatingly interested.
Yeah. To keep the fascinating, interesting conversation
Keep us on the
going.
air.
That's right. Otherwise, it's going to go dead air.
Yeah, they don't like that today.
Fascination and lunacy all the same time.
Seriously, we are halfway through, and I am not seeing the phones light up. There's only 2 of these pledge drives a year. This is the summer fund drive. We need you to call in. Support Down and Dirty, 813-238-8001. Support WMNF. Support Down and Dirty.
And there are shirts, there are hats, there are so many gift items for your pledges at various levels. We'd ask you to talk to the person who answers the phone and see what your options are, as well as the one-of-a-kind pottery from your host, John Dingfelder, and the autographed book from Paul Wilborn.
Do some soul searching. Do you listen to the show? If you listen to the show, please support us. All right.
He's tougher than I am.
Here's the core services list that's going to be, I assume, Bob, this list is going to be on the ballot in some format.
I'm not sure.
Not sure.
We'd have to look and see what is actually in the constitutional amendment, which is interesting. The constitutional amendment, my understanding is the actual language that's been proposed only speaks to the $250,000. It doesn't speak to the tiered $150 and then going to $250.
Wow.
So that's a question as well. It also has this 5-year residency requirement in it, saying that you have to be.
Which some people question as constitutional.
Well, it was found unconstitutional in a similar fashion in
And what does that say?
1982.
It was already struck down before, you said.
Right. So it says that if you've had a homesteaded piece of property prior to December 31st of 2026,
Okay.
that you would be eligible for this additional 150 and then up to 250 the second year exemption. But otherwise, if you purchase property after that or become a resident after January 1st of 2027, you'd have to be here 5 years before you would be under basically.
If you're from out of state.
You're basically under the old rules.
So there's some punitive for moving here?
And that's been found unconstitutional before. So you basically would be under the old rules for 5 years of how
Bob, is this
the system is
ultimately lead to job layoffs and stuff? What's going to happen if this fact?
I think you would have
passes?
to see again. All of us that are in local government would have to take a haircut. I'm certain that they would, the taxing authorities, city, county, and otherwise would have to
find. Where does your budget come from?
Right now our budget is approved along with the tax collector by the Department of Revenue. It's a pass-through through the county. And generally, the counties, they defer to our budgets based on the DOR, who takes a very close look at what we do. There's a lot of rules and regulations regarding that. I will tell you personally, just so this is a shameless plug, we've cut our budget 5 times in the time I've been in office, including this year. And
So there's not a lot of
about,
fat?
We're about 30% smaller than we were when I took office in 2000.
Wow.
So
Good for you.
we were kind of Doge before Doge. But that doesn't mean that let's be honest, okay, to the listeners out there, when you start talking about waste, did I need to take my kids to Bo's last night for ice cream? I don't know. But there's waste in everything. You can find questionable things in spending. Yes. Is it to the level of $500 million of revenue? It really is not. And so, and I think, and again, I've proposed if you would have wanted to deal with spending, you could have looked at something else. And there are other. I think Georgia has an interesting
And is
proposal.
the state legislature cutting their own budget?
No. Well, they did. They had. Well, I will say this.
Nicely played, sir.
They have smaller budgets. The last 2 years, they have cut the budget, but they play around with billions of dollars. Like it's they can do that.
But I meant specifically the budget that runs the House and the Senate and their own staff and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's a whole nother discussion. Of up until 2 years ago, they were spending like crazy up there, record budgets. Then all of a sudden, they kind of found their fiscal responsibility gene. But that being said, the reality is, for the listeners out there, when they start to look at this, yes, there's a lot more spending and as a result of higher property values.
But there are more people.
But there's more people. There's more
to do.
services that are
It's
being
more work.
demanded of. And frankly, you get what you pay for. And we've had
also inflation.
And right. And we've had situations. I mean, I spoke to the mayor of Temple Terrace. I had lunch with him recently. And we were kind of laughed about the fact that a few years ago they were redoing their garbage pickup services, which, remember, we're talking about the real estate portion of your property tax. There are a whole bunch of other fees and other things that are on your tax bill that are the bond issues, CDDs, special districts that are also funded by property tax revenue. And those things that are not funded by property tax revenue necessarily, or they come from other pots of money. Would those fees not then be a place that the local communities would look to try to raise more funds to make up the difference? Going back to his story, he proposed only having garbage pickup in Temple Terrace once a week to save money.
Yeah, I remember this.
Right, and it was like
People were crazy, right?
Yeah.
They were, and so again, we're in our comfort zone. We want what we want when we want it, but then the question is, how do we pay for it?
Johnny, City Council did that once.
No.
Remember you
I
talked
had
about it?
proposed it to Pam Iorio. I said, Pam, we can cut X amount of money from the garbage budget
Once a
by
week,
going
and
to
people
once a
went
week.
nuts.
And Pam actually nixed that herself. She goes, people don't want that stinky garbage in their garbage can.
No.
I said, no, we've got these nice cans. Anyway, I digress. Let me run through these core services while I got it up. The core services that the legislature has identified as paramount: public safety. They've exempted public schools and education, infrastructure, including road maintenance, bridge repairs, drainage, stormwater. And then they say natural resources, local environmental conservation, water management, critical ecosystems, constitutional officers, and then local liabilities, mandatory government obligations, debt service bonds.
Oh, that is bonds?
Employee retirement benefits, et cetera. Nowhere in there do they mention Parks and Rec. Okay, so what are they going to do? They're going to put a gate. They're going to put a gate and a little fee on every single park in our city to be able to fund these. They're going to close them down. They're going to fire all the rec employees, Parks and Rec employees. They're not going to mow. Okay.
Well, again,
you've gotten a free ride so far because our phone is not ringing. We brought in Bob Enriquez to talk about those tax issues, but we do need you to call.
Yeah, if you want to hear issues like this, if you want to get the people who are in charge talking to you and answering your questions, then a show like Down and Dirty hopefully is important to you. We're going to ask you to call and let us know that it's important to you. The number to call is 813-238-8001. 813-238-8001. There are all sorts of fun WMNF gifts waiting for you if you contribute, whatever it is. And then you've got the Circle of Friends thing, which is really wonderful because it automatically takes and you don't even feel it monthly. But we will ask you to call. I know we're distracting you with some good Down and Dirty discussion, but all the more reason for you to hopefully like the show and want to keep it on the air. So give us a shout.
And Bob and Vic, I know you guys have been over here to this station for years and years. giving out important information. What do you think about this?
Yeah, Vic, what do you
Well,
think?
this is important because, the only reason we're not advertised, we don't stop the show every 5 minutes
No
for
commercials.
a 30-second
No corporate sponsors.
corporate sponsors and all that like we do on PBS. So it's to hear great shows like this that is really, this is the hottest issue in the entire state of Florida right now. And we got the number one guy here to educate the public about what's going on. Everyone's got to drag themselves to the polls and vote on this issue coming up in November.
Right.
And this is a very big deal. There's hundreds of millions of dollars
But right now, they got to drag themselves to the phone, pick it up,
Exactly.
and make a pledge.
So
Because is there a
please.
place else that you could hear an hour worth of uninterrupted discussion
Right.
from the source, from
Right.
the person who knows it best?
And
No,
is it-
and the reality of it is, we know how it is in this political world of manufactured outrage that we live in. So what you're going to see
like
going
that.
forward is, 30-second ads on TV.
Right.
Who has the money to make those ads or whatever? It will. So then people are going to be taking this in little, bites that they're really not going to get a clear picture of what this really means. I will tell you, Victor, your point. This part of this effort is to drive turnout, and we can
Yeah, let's talk
decide
about
how what that means. But there's a political reality of what's going on as well. So it's important for folks to be educated about this. And John, to jump back to your point about the core services again. This doesn't guarantee that those core services will be funded. They simply say those are the ones that should be funded first from property tax revenue.
In that order, or they
no?
don't care?
I don't think so. No, they're not in that order.
Okay.
It's those things. So you have to start to think. Well, obviously, public safety's that's the thing that's most
Yeah.
important. I mean, we want to make sure that our fire and police are taken care of. Otherwise, the rest of none of that's necessarily guaranteed in the bill. You can't guarantee. You can't do that really constitutionally. So then as you go down the list of those other things, what gets the rest of the revenue, and if there's a shortfall, what falls off, and it could be a core service. And then there's the quality of life type things that we talk about, libraries, parks, and otherwise. Where do those come in? How do you fund some of those things? And what? So there's a lot to this as we go forward. And I would also suggest that when you start thinking about some of whatever's left over. After the core services, particularly fire and police, who is going to have the most? If there is more money to go out there from property taxes, where does it go? I would suggest to you that the haves are going to get it before the have-nots. Certain areas, which we've had that issue going on for a long time. Obviously,
wrong.
And again, that's just sort of the nature of things. And so this creates a real conundrum for local government, and they also it reins in the kinds of decisions that John used to make when he sat on council, and otherwise of having some, at least at the local the with property taxes versus sales tax, you could make those kinds of decisions, of how a community wants. What they want to fund, what they want their community to look like. This is a big shift of power to Tallahassee to have a lot more say on what communities spend their money on, and how they want their community to, what they want it to look like, and what the quality of life, what are the focuses of their quality of life. So that's a big difference. I mean, folks really need to think about this. This is a fundamental change on how we fund local government, municipalities, special districts in the state of Florida, who has the power to make those kinds of decisions. And it was done over the course of 2 days with really very little discussion
whatsoever. So the whole
whatsoever.
rush thing makes me really skeptical, too, that this is happening very fast.
Oh, yeah.
And I do think that
Well, that's
there's
sort of-
politics behind this in
Well,
a
that's
big
the
way.
nature of the beast. Listen, I had more than one, representative or senator when I had a chance to go up there and speak with them that would say things like, "Listen, whatever comes to the floor, I have to vote for, but I'm going to vote against it at the ballot."
Oh, well,
Or
thanks for that.
don't worry about it; it won't get to 60% no matter what we put out. That's sort of like Russian roulette with our local government.
I do want to just butt in for a second and say that we've had a couple of calls. We thank you for listening. This is a pledge drive, our summer fund drive for WMNF, and we have Anonymous who called and donated $50 to WMNF, and they want your denim bowl. Isn't that
nice.
nice? So
Nice.
thank you for that, Anonymous. We appreciate your listening, and we hope you love this bowl. We'll get it out to you. Thank you for calling. John, do you have anything?
Yeah, I've got Suzanne House. Thank you.
Sue House.
Sue House.
Yeah.
Yes, that's Sue House.
House.
Oh, thank you. I didn't put two and two together. $37.70.
Isn't
Great.
that nice?
Sue says, "Great reporting. We need to keep you on the air." Very, very nice.
But please call 813-238-8001.
Actually, this is Suzanne House.
Okay, forgive me.
At a different address.
Okay.
But Suzanne, we love you too.
Hey, watch that, buddy. You're married.
Please call.
Listen, we are running out of time, Skip. We got about 15 minutes or less to go. We are so far behind on our.
Because we're talking.
What do they call us? The budget, the goal.
The goal.
The goal, I think, is like $1,600, and we're probably $200 or $300. We really, really need your help. We're just going to quit talking. You're going to hear a beep, and that's it. 813-238-8001. Maybe that's what's messing you up. It's a different phone number, 813-238-8001. We took a special effort today to make our pledge drive a little bit different and have a guest here today, Bob Enriquez.
To be down and dirty with us.
Right.
Well, John, I think if you're in favor of this, at least at first blush, then you're going to have this tax savings in a year or so. So go ahead and send WMNF.
Oh, I like that. Bada bing. Beautiful. Thank
We
you,
actually
Bob.
made
Can you write it off? You can write it off, right? It's
Nice
nonprofit.
postcode.
Nonprofit.
Yeah.
Actually, last time I was on, we made the pledge drive,
we
did.
Oh, come on,
Okay,
Vic.
there you
Work
go.
your
we got-
magic.
Everybody's panicking about other financial issues. Vic, let's talk about the political for a second. Bob, you can jump in or not. It's up to you. I don't want to get you in trouble or get you thrown out
I
of
might
office.
already be in trouble.
Get you thrown out of office like other constitutional.
Well, I think there's a lot of.
What is the political goal of this from the Republican side?
Well, I'm not the Republican. You got to.
No. I mean,
Well, yes, Bob mentioned a second ago, and we talked about this offline. That with Donald Trump being immensely unpopular, down at 30%. Even though he's a resident, actually he's underwater even
so
in
the
Florida.
Republicans are worried.
They need, and you look at the special elections, even the one that we had here in Tampa, where Josie Tomko spent $3 million, and our Democratic candidate, who's now the senator, spent $100,000 and won. They're trying to juice up the Republicans coming out to vote, and Republicans always vote for tax breaks. They're trying to get the people excited to do that. I think that's what the Republicans intend to do by throwing money at them. Before I forget, though, this is very important. I want to wish my mom a happy birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Mercy.
Mercy, today's her 95th birthday.
We love you,
and,
Mercy.
We're going to have cake here after the show. So, Mom, we love you, and we're glad you're listening with us today. I'm sure she's going to call in with
Mercy's held office.
Yes, she has. It's been a very
It's in your
interesting
blood,
ride.
Victor.
Well, listen, we just got a wonderful pledge from our good friend Gary Gibbons. The
Thank you, Gary.
Tampa guy
Thank you,
moved
Gary.
to St.
Jane.
Pete with Jane a couple of years ago. $134.
Isn't
He's
that
looking
nice?
for the Sunshine Beach towels.
Nice.
Oh, they are pretty. Those
Summer
are
of
beautiful.
26. And his comments are, thank you for bringing us discussions of issues that we can't hear anywhere else with this much depth. Thank you very much, Gary.
We're bringing you the hottest issue of the day right now here live on the air. Thanks to John and Lynn, and we appreciate it.
And you,
But
Vic.
this is
Has it replaced the Rays as the hottest issue?
well.
they kind of
this is all.
piggyback each other, don't they?
That was 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, there you go.
Wait,
But
I
you
have
know,
another
that's
hot-
gonna
But
be dead.
that kind of figures into some thinking here too,
I
right?
have another hot issue.
Uh-huh.
Here's the elephant in the room, so to speak.
Oh goodness.
Bob, are you going to run for mayor?
Oh. Well, I'm sure
He's
this-
going to announce it right here.
No, that won't happen today.
That's worth
I will say
$1,000.
this, and I'm flattered. I appreciate you asking me this. It's not something that I have been considering. I haven't made a final decision on that. Certainly, there's a lot of other folks that are already out there running hard.
There are a lot of folks in
I
there.
think that the people, what they need to understand with me is that I'm a fifth generation, Tampa native. I was at an event recently where I was up in a building, and I was standing out on the balcony. I looked in every direction. I saw my life's history, my family's history. Whether it be looking at Rocky Point, where the Henriquez family homesteaded, towards Forest Hills, where I grew up, and Most Holy Redeemer Church, where I went to school and was baptized, Tampa General in another direction, where I was born, Ybor City, where my grandfather was a lector reader in the cigar factories, and I'm a
You're
product.
giving me chills,
I'm
Bob.
a product of a mixed marriage. My mother, my father was from West Tampa, my mother from Ybor City. Looking at West Tampa, where my great grandfather was the last mayor of West Tampa before 1925. So this place it literally is it's in my DNA, and so I care deeply about the future of Tampa, and I regardless, I want to be part of our future, and I think preserving what it is that makes Tampa what's special, and it's not $12 devil crabs, but it is a devil crab. It's a spirit. It's this welcoming spirit, and I think sometimes I feel like, and I think a lot of natives feel like, to some extent, we're losing that thing that has brought people here, but then for some reason they seem to want to change it to something else. And it's not and it's not the growth. We need to have growth. But I think that we still want to keep Tampa. And so, we'll see. I have a very unique situation, and ultimately I have to make a decision of what's good for my family, because it's all encompassing. And I don't have to do this. This isn't about any legacy. I don't need to be called, mayor. The first thing I answer to is Dad, and then Coach, and then Honorable, whatever comes after that. Because there's a funny thing happens in politics. You get elected, the next day they slap Honorable in front of your name, whether you've earned it or not. Once you win an election, so we'll see. I think that decision, one way or the other, will come very soon. Either way, I look forward to continuing to serve and provide input, because I care deeply about this place, and
that rich voice you're hearing is Bob Enriquez.
I begged the question as best I could, but we'll see. But I will tell you, I'm flattered because it's very organic. This isn't something that I woke up one day and said, "Oh, I want this power. I want to be the mayor." It's a lot of folks that have come to me and said, there's a yearning for change, but also a connection to the past. So this idea of where tradition meets tomorrow, and so that's really sort of what motivates me to think about it.
Someone thought about their campaign slogan.
I may have.
Well, I'm there if he decides personally.
All right,
that goes without saying.
Thank you for that.
Thanks for that. But I will tell you, if this passes, it won't be much fun to be mayor with no money.
Yeah, so, challenges
for anybody. Yeah.
We have another donation. We appreciate this one from Cindy from Seminole, $50.
Thank you,
She
Cindy.
loves the show, very informative,
nice.
and she's taking the Brown Bowl, the 8-inch Brown Bowl.
Oh, yeah,
wonderful.
The bowls are going like hotcakes.
Nice,
and the number is
nice.
813-238-8001. 813-238-8001.
We've got less than 10 minutes,
Please
and
give
we
us a
have
call.
$2,000. I was just informed we are so short of our goal. It's starting to feel like a
You're
municipal
in
government.
You're in
We're
trouble.
$2,000 short of our goal. So,
Well, we're making a lot of news today, so it's amazing.
It's really good.
We're making a lot of news.
In terms of solid information.
Yes.
Where else can you get
Right.
an hour or two, because of the Skinny following us, of really solid information with sources that you wouldn't ordinarily get a chance
and this
to
is a
hear from?
political year coming up.
Yeah,
not
big
only,
election. Big
not
election.
only the November election, then you've got the City of Tampa election
Right.
in March, and the mayor and city council.
And of course, WMNF is a nonprofit, and we stay on the air, all of us, because you help us to. And so your donation, whatever the amount, helps us not only keep the lights on, but keep the mics active. Listen, there's some beautiful new artistic T-shirts that you might like.
Good
Go
swag.
on the website.
Good
Really,
swag.
really good swag. As the
I like the
station's way of saying
reversible
thank you.
bucket hat.
Oh no, John, you are
For
not.
$100, it looks like a fishing hat. What was the guy on MASH? What was the guy on MASH that had
I was
the?
thinking the
Hawkeye?
Dobie Gillis
Hawkeye?
guy.
One of them had a hat like that.
I think your mother had a
She did.
Rest in peace.
I have a hat like that.
Oh, no. There goes your political campaign.
The T-shirts are beautiful this year. This season, it says "different on purpose,"
Yes,
and
we
it's
are.
got sort of a little record on the inside
It's
of that.
wonderful. It's a beautiful graphic. Listen, 813-238-8001. We will stop begging if you just light up the phones. 813-238-8001.
John, does that T-shirt come in a
Thank you.
3X?
For you and me both.
Okay.
That's funny.
So
I've got
I'm down. I'm you know.
I ordered. Lynn ordered me a New York Knicks shirt because, of
Oh,
course, the
she's
Knicks are in the
crazy about
finals,
that. Yeah.
and the shirt arrived. And I usually get 1X, extra large, and this one showed up in 2X.
Oh, no, it is not.
And
It's a
and
1X.
it was like, honey, are you giving me a hint?
Maybe.
Anyway, all right, 5 more minutes, folks. The phones are not ringing. We need you to ring them. We're $2,000 short of our goal.
We're going to get fired.
Sean is going to fire us, and we'll be down and dirty out on the street. WMNF needs this. We need your support.
Yeah, I mean, we're joking around, but really, it helps the station.
838-8001.
Right.
238-8001.
And, we're all volunteers here. We do this because we love the place and we love the community. And it's Johnny's way, certainly, of giving back. So we ask you to tell us if you like it. And if you care about what the station does and you like the music and the news, please give us a call.
If you're a friend of
813.
Vic DeMaio or Bob Enriquez.
I already gave my $100.
No. If you're a friend of them, do it in their honor.
Yes.
Do it in their honor.
813-238-8001.
Actually, that happened last time I was on the show during pledge. Somebody actually gave it
So I don't know.
$100.
When you call
Friends and family.
Vic's phone, it says DeMaio and Associates. So you're not a friend; you're an associate.
I have my associate here,
We're
Luis
associates.
Salazar. He's my
We're
associate.
associates. Yeah.
And Luis
Do you
is
have to
helping.
tweak your nose when you say associate?
Yes.
That's another part of Tampa's past.
Which, by the way, Paul
Italian.
Wilburn's book goes.
that's great, the Charlie
you
Wall
got to
book.
read his book. It goes into
Yeah, you
great
love it.
detail about Charlie Wall and Ybor City and
it's a
all of
great
that
read.
history that you're talking about.
The characters are kind of made together based on people we already know.
Right.
And their caricatures. And his writing, as you know,
Yeah.
from
I will
his
tell you,
journalism is just
I
beautiful.
know we only have a couple minutes left, but a funny story. So my mother-in-law, when she's moved down, she lives with us now, but she was
nice.
living in Tallahassee, and she would come down, and she loved to go to Ivoroni's for dinner, right? And so one Christmas, she bought me the Cigar City Mafia book for Christmas,
right.
and I read it. I sat down and read through the whole thing, and it reads more of a chronology than even a great history of all of the wise guys we've had here over the years. And so then we went that Friday. We went to Ivoroni's for dinner, and I said, "Remember that?" "Remember that book, Pamela, that you bought me?" And she said, "I said everybody that's surviving or that's related to the people in that book are around the bar right now."
Yes, we have a very colorful history that way.
I think it's wonderful.
Yeah.
I really do.
And what makes
I
Tampa
love it.
cool.
No, absolutely.
That's cool.
And then their progeny are lawyers and judges.
Well,
and,
that's- yeah.
which is really pretty
And that's wonderful, too.
interesting and fascinating that that's the way Tampa's evolved.
Right.
Well,
exactly.
I can remember when we go into the Italian festival under the VIP tent, and
Wasn't
you'd
that
see all
great?
the judges and lawyers sitting with the retired businessmen. Let's just say that.
I love that festival. That was so great.
Also, the Patrick's Bocce tournament.
Oh, the bocce, yeah. We
We
love
were talking about
bocce.
guava weed. Remember that?
Oh,
yeah.
sure. And,
Paul-
and Paul's one
Paul
of the ones
talks
started
about
it.
it.
Yeah. Oh, does he really?
What do they call it? The writers?
Artists and Writers
Ball.
Ball. Artists and Writers
Yeah.
Ball,
Did you
yeah.
ever go to that, Victor?
Oh, yeah, every year. It's
Wasn't it
Cubic
crazy?
Club.
Yeah.
And
Then
even
it kinda grew out of
WMNF has
control,
come.
and then,
Yeah.
went the way of the dodo bird.
All right, we've got 2 more minutes. We need to see these lights go on and the phones ringing.
Yeah, see, the lights go on in the studio when you call, so we know that there's a phone call.
But
That's
if you
like-
don't
Christmas.
call, we won't have electricity for the lights to go on. So it's 813-238-8001, 813-238-8001. Please show
I
us
guess if
some
we
love.
keep building these data centers, we won't have lights either, right? Is that that's another topic.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
even want to touch on that one, but
You can also go to WMNF.org if that's easier for you, whether it's on your phone, your laptop, and you can make your pledge that way. Please indicate Down and Dirty if you care about
$50
the show.
pledge gets you that Paul Wilburn book.
Or one of the bowls we have left.
The
Let's
last
see, we've got
bowl
the
left.
vase.
The vase?
That's the only vase. You say tomato, I say tomato.
I think we're coming in with a new
yay,
pledge.
A call, thank you. Anyhow, wonderful shirts, wonderful little giveaways for our summer drive, and we hope that you love WMNF and the show enough to
She
show
wants.
us some love.
All right, she wants the Paul Wilburn book.
Oh,
We've
that's
got
great.
Rosemary Smith from Tampa, $100 donation.
Isn't that nice?
Longtime listener,
Thank you.
longtime lover of WMNF. Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Rosemary.
Will.
You're going to enjoy the Wilburn book. That's
it's
the only
autographed.
copy we have. And thank you so much. Oh, a neighbor of Julie Jenkins, it appears
Very
to
cool.
me. Yes.
Very
Good,
nice.
good, good.
Well, Bob, are you optimistic about the future? Oh, that's a big one, huh?
That's a big. No, I'm always here's and yes, absolutely, and I'll tell you why. These types of things generally, I have great faith in, and believe it or not, in the voters. And I think that people will research this. If you look at similar efforts around the country, they've failed. So, so we'll see. But I think that they'll educate themselves and do the right thing when they go to the ballot, one way or the other.
We so appreciate your being here. Will you come back and talk more about this?
Anytime.
You're great,
All right.
Victor. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. I love coming.
Even when we go off the air, you've got about 5 minutes in between shows. Please show WMNF and Down and Dirty a little bit of love. Call 813-238-8001 or
Thanks for
WMNF.org and donate. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week. John
You talk a
Dinkfelder,
lot.
Lynn Marvin Dinkfelder, victim